Alright, so starting with, this is the, I think the fourth video, starting with number 44. So we're going to do slope-intercept form of the equation. This is where we're doing the semester review. Starting with number 44. We've done 3 videos before this with the previous ones. We're going to look for a slope-intercept form of the equation of the line described. So we know that it has to be parallel to this line and it has to go through this point. So in order to figure that out, we know that it is going to be y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope, and now we need to find our y-intercept. So kind of like what we did up above, we need to figure out, we know our slope is going to be 5 because it is parallel to this line. And in this line, our slope is the number in front of the x, which is 5. Parallel lines have the same slope, so our slope is going to be 5. So we also know that this is our x and this is our y. We can substitute those numbers in to our equation, and what we want to do then is solve for b. So here what we're going to do is solve, well, I guess our first step would be to substitute our slope, put in our x value, and put in our y value. So we need to put in the values that we are familiar with. Then our second step is solve for b. And the equation that we're using to do all that is this equation right here. So when we start off, we have, if this is our x and this is our y, we're going to put in -3 as our y. We're going to put in 5 is our slope. 2 is our x. And then we're going to solve for b. We don't know b. That's one mystery that we don't know. We figured out what the slope is. They gave us the x and the y values. Now we just have to figure out the mystery of b. So we get -3 equals 5 times 2 is 10 plus b. I'm going to use my inverse operation to get b by itself. I need to get this 10 over on that side. I can't just put it there, so I need to subtract 10 from both sides of the equation, and I get -13 equals b. Okay, so I've solved for b. So step 3 is then put in equation, or write the equation. You need to now write the equation. So here's my equation, and I've got y equals, m is my slope, x minus 13. So these are the two values that I had to find to get that equation. Alright, so my slope goes here, parallel. The value that I solved for -13 goes here. So this is my y equals mx plus b. Okay, so we're going to do that for each one. So if we have this as parallel, what is my slope for this line? It is the value in front of the x, which is 1. I know it goes through there, so I'm going to take my y equals mx plus b. I'm going to substitute x and y in. Y is 1, m is 1, x is 3, plus b. So I've taken this and put that here, and I've taken this and put that here. And so when I get 1 equals 3 times 1 is 3 plus b. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Negative 2 equals b. I'm not done now that I've got this. So I've substituted in, I've solved for b. Now I still need to put it in the equation because it's asking for the slope-intercept form. So I need to do y equals, my m is 1, so 1x. My b is negative 2. So that's my slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Put that in there. And that in there. I don't have to put a 1 because it's implied. Alright, moving on. Now we've got perpendicular. So we know that perpendicular lines, the slope is not the same, but it is the opposite reciprocal. So I've got, this is my x, this is my y. I'm going to do the exact same thing. So I've got y equals mx plus b is what I need to figure out. My slope, however, is not going to be the same slope that's in this. It's going to be the opposite, which this is negative, so it's going to be a positive. And reciprocal, meaning flipped upside down. So the 2 is flipped onto the top, and the 3 is flipped onto the bottom. But then I go through the same steps. I substitute, number 1, I'm going to substitute my slope in, my x in, and my y in. So when I do that, I'm going to get my y is negative 2. My slope is positive 2 over 3. My x is negative 3. And I need to solve for b. So now I do the math and figure out what the b is going to be. So negative 2 equals, whenever I multiply by the denominator, I'm going to get what's on the numerator. But this is a negative, so the 3's cancel each other out to become 1, and I need negative 1 times 2 is negative 2 plus b. Now I've got to use my inverse operations to get b by itself. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. And I get 0, which is a number. Don't diss 0. Make sure you know. So now in order to put that in an equation of y equals mx plus b, I plug in. I've got y equals 2/3 x plus 0. I don't even have to put that in there. That's it. Because plus 0, if I wanted to, I could add plus 0, but I'm not going to, because that's the correct form it needs to be in. Alright, next. Same thing, perpendicular. So my line is going to be, my slope is going to be the opposite reciprocal. This is negative. So my slope is going to be positive. This is 1 over 7. So my slope is going to be flipped upside down. 7 over 1, which is the same as 7. So now I substitute in my slope, my x, and my y. And when I'm looking for the perpendicular line, I'm going to use the slope the desired slope. That's what I'm looking for. So I've got my x here, my y here. So y equals mx plus b. I'm now I'm substituting in my m, my x, and my y. So I'm substituting in y is 4 equals my m is 7, my x is 1. The only thing we don't know is our b. So when I work that out, 4 equals 7 plus b. I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. Negative 3 equals b. I'm not done yet. Just because I found b, now I need to put this all in the equation. So y equals mx plus b is going to be y equals 7x minus 3. Now, just to be clear, I'm not looking for this point. I'm looking for the general line that goes through this point. That's why I have to keep my x and my y as x and y, because this is basically an entire line that just so happens to travel through this point. That's why this point helps me get this line. But that's why I need to keep my x and my y in the equation. Okay, moving on. Now write the standard form. So basically we're doing the same thing, but instead of putting it in slope-intercept form, we need to then, so we're going to do all the same thing. We need to find slope. Then we need to find my y-intercept. Then I'm going to put in slope-intercept form. Then I need to convert into standard form. So there are 4 steps here that we need to do. All are you're fully capable of doing, but it's just going to take one step at a time, just like going up a staircase. You can't get to the top from the bottom in one step. You got to take a couple steps. Even if you skip steps, Jonathan, you still have to take a couple of steps. All right, so m equals my y2 over y1. This is my second pair. This is my one pair. So I'm going to do negative 1 minus negative 4 over negative 2 minus 1, and I get, this turns into positive. So I get 3 over negative 2 minus 1 is negative 3. 3 over negative 3 is going to be negative 1. So this is my slope. That's my slope. So find m, check. Now I need to find my b, and in order to find my b, I need to substitute all those in. So I've got y equals mx plus b. I found my slope, and I can use these as my x and y coordinates. So negative 4 equals, if negative 1 is my slope, 1 is my x, according to this, and I need to find my b. So negative 4 equals negative 1 times positive 1 is negative 1 plus b. I'm going to add b to both, or add 1 to both sides to get rid of that. I get negative 3 equals b. So, okay, so that's done. So I've found my b. Now I need to plug it into y equals mx plus b form. So I keep my y and my x. I'm just plugging in my slope and my y-intercept. So my equation becomes y equals negative 1x minus 3. But I'm not done because I need to put it in standard form. So I need to, once again, move my x. Move that x. So instead of moving it away from the y, now we're moving it toward the y. So we're going to add x to both sides, and I get x plus y equals negative 3. So here I've got my ax. This is in ax plus by equals c form. The a is 1, the b is 1, and c is -3. So this is my answer. Alright, so let's do that again. This is my x, this is my y, this is my x, this is my y. I've got to first find my slope. That's always going to be the first when they give points like this. So I'm going, this is 1, this is ordered pair 2, so -1 minus 5 over, so my slope is going to equal, if you forget, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 is my slope formula. Then 0 minus -2, 1 minus 5 is -6. This is going to give me a +2, so I get -3 is my slope. Okay, so now I need to find my b. So when I look for my b, I'm going to plug in x equals mx plus b. I'm going to plug in all the numbers that I know I can plug in. 1 is my ordered pair here. I can take either one of these. It doesn't matter. Except, look at that. This is an x is 0. So this is my y-intercept. So I don't even have to find my b because this is my b. If you did not see that, you can go ahead and plug it in. But y is going to equal -3x. This is my b. This is my y-intercept because x is 0 when the y-intercept. So there is my equation right there. But I'm not done because I have it here in slope-intercept form. I need to get it in standard form. So what's the first thing to move it into standard form is move your x. Move your x. And I get 3x plus y equals -1. And that is good. Now, just so that you guys remember, when you have it in standard form, your a has to be a positive number, and it cannot be a fraction. So just keep that in mind. If that's the case, we've got to do something with it. So let's go and see if we get one of those problems. So exciting. Is the suspense killing you? Alright, let's see. So, again, write the standard form of the equation of the line described, but now we're saying, okay, it's parallel to this. So we don't have to find the slope. They've given us the slope. It's parallel, so we know that this is our slope. So that actually takes one step out of the equation. So now what is our first step? Since we have our slope, now we've got to find slope, which we have. Now we've got to find our b. So let's find the b. We've got, this is our x, this is our y. We're going to take our equation, and I'm going to plug in this slope, and I'm going to plug in those numbers in for my x and my y. So I'm going to plug in this and this. -5 equals my slope of -4 divided by 3 times my x, which is 3, plus b. So the only thing missing is my b. I need to figure what that b is. I do the math. -5 equals 3 divided by 3. Those cancel each other out, and I'm left with -4 plus b. Then I'm going to add 4 to both sides, and I get -1 equals b. Okay, so now I'm ready to put it in y equals mx plus b form. I'm going to then say y equals -4 over 3x plus b, which is -1. So now I need to move it to standard form. So in order to get into standard form, I'm going to move my x. And I get, I'm going to run out of room, 4/3 x plus y equals -1. Now what did I just say? We can't have x be a fraction. So in order to get that out of fraction form, I need to multiply the whole equation, every single thing in that equation. I need to multiply it by the denominator of that. So I'm going to multiply everything by 3. And when I do that, I'm going to get 4x plus, because these cross each other out, I lose my denominator, so it's no longer a fraction, plus, but then when I multiply 3 times y, I get 3y equals -3. So there is my standard form equation of a line that is parallel to this line and goes through that point. Alright, last one on this video, and then I'll go to the next video. So, quick, we got parallel lines. My slope is going to be the same since it's parallel. I'm going to find, so I found my slope, I need to find my b, this is my x, this is my y, -1 equals, this is my slope, this is my x, plus b, I'm looking for my b, -1 equals -10 plus b, add 10 to both sides, and I get 9 equals b. So then when I plug that in to my form, y equals 5x plus 9. In order to move that into standard form, I'm going to move my x. I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides, but uh-oh. Now I've got a negative a. I can't have that be negative. That's not okay. So in order to change that, I need to multiply by a -1. Why do I multiply by a -1? Because that's not going to change any of the numbers, but it will change the sign from negative to positive. So when I multiply that by a -1, I'm going to get positive 5x minus y equals -9. This is an okay standard form. Okay, that's it for this video, and then I'll go on to the very last video.